So, in terms of personal experiences that shaped the world and this cinematic universe, is my experiences growing up in a South Asian background. Like growing up, I was constantly told you should be a doctor, you should be an engineer, but I didn't want to do either of that. I want to tell stories, I want to create meaningful change. So me, I come from a South Indian background. And I've grown up watching films from Tollywood, Kollywood, where a lot of them have emotional depth. A lot of stories have emotional depth. And one of my favorite directors from the South Indian film industry is Shankar, where one of his films he directed in Hindustani is about a vigilante who fights against bribery and corruption. And that was one of the inspirations for writing Venomous Viper, for Disha fights against societal issues like toxic masculinity, misogyny. And it's this emotional depth which I believe is going to resonate with audiences. I don't just want to make a film that's stylish and all spectacle. I want to create a storytelling that is meaningful and that can inspire real world change. It's not just entertainment, it's an education.
Yeah, I love that real world change. I'm definitely on that too. How I prepared for her is, Baz sent me a lot of films that inspired him to write the role of Disha, Hindustani being one of them. And I thought it was so interesting because it was so cinematic and it was so entertaining. But the assassin himself was a world of his own. He just was completely autonomous. And, I relate to autonomy like it protects me in my own life. And Disha's really autonomous. And that being the basis, and also personal experiences other than autonomy, I would say that, relationships. She doesn't have love interests that go anywhere. She doesn't have, they don't really work out. And I think that's so realistic because there's a lot of women who get into relationships these days and they don't work out. And in cinema nowadays, two things. The love interest is really, really important. There's always love interest and it's always a happy ending. There's always a point in the film where two people are madly in love. And I think that can be really, really nourishing and can be really entertaining and it can be really powerful. But with Disha, she is not the type to fall deeply in love with someone and be in a relationship because she's so independent. If ever we do show her falling in love with someone, having a deep love connection, it's going to be so, it's going to hit the audience hard because they're going to be like, wow, this person who we've seen as someone who's so emotionally detached and so committed to and dedicated to her job, she then has a deep emotional connection with someone. That would be something that would be really, really interesting, I think, and meaningful. And the second thing was, I feel like a lot of films are very ambitious, but they're not focused. The good thing about Venomous Viper is that it's very, very focused.
In terms of how the team dynamic shapes the authenticity for Venomous Viper, is that, yeah, I like how me, Mandy, and Irvin, my co writer, we're all on the same wavelength and we believe in the same message, conveying a social message that will inspire and empower real world change. And it's something which hasn't been done before in cinema. Like Hollywood hasn't done it, and Bollywood, they certainly won't do it. Being able to tell this story, which is very much needed for not just South Asian representation, but on an international scale as well. Like we have the power and the talent to create stories where we can see ourselves up there with the Avengers.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think, Bollywood, I've worked in Bollywood and I've been offered a lot of jobs in Bollywood. And I've never really been interested, I have to say. I've been an actress for a while and I trained a lot, but I never really took any roles seriously because um, they weren't the right roles for me. A friend of mine said to me, who's an actress, she said, you can't be a character, Mandy. And I understand what she means now. I have to be the protagonist because that's the way I work the best. And um, with Bollywood not wanting to have a woman that doesn't want to be seen through the male gaze and isn't seen through the male gaze, I think is just too much of a challenge, and it's too it's too I want to say rebellious, but I would say it's too out there for Bollywood's comfort, and we're not trying to make a film that's comfortable. We're trying to make something that we believe in. And by the three of us collaborating, because this is all new and, we're developing this as we go along, it's all authentic. Every idea, every theme that we develop, it's authentic because we're developing as we go along and we're doing it together. So it's I think the one most valuable part of this process is how authentic it is. And, my own personal experience makes it authentic. Not wanting to do character roles, wanting to do something that's serious, but also at the same time shows a woman that is beautiful and powerful. Someone that's very deadly appeals to me a lot. Someone that is not, her life doesn't evolve around falling in love, getting married, and having kids. Like, I don't want those things for me myself. So it's really, really cool. That makes it authentic. I think having the actress portraying her, being able to relate to her a lot, really, really helps.
So in terms of the creative vision that I want for Venomous Viper, it's a dark, gritty, unforgiving world. Disha, she's not forgiving. She's very cutthroat in the targets she wants to kill. So the people she hunts, like she won't hesitate to kill them. And she's ruthless in her journey. Enough is enough for her, and she will do whatever it takes to seek justice and avenge the people that have been wronged by society.
As an extension of what Baz says, I want every step to be intentional. I want, the films to be fast paced. I want there to always be something going on. The pace needs to be really tight, and it needs to be really, really purposeful.
So with Venomous Viper, the way it's going to make a difference is we are putting South Asians in lead roles. Like South Asian representation, 3 words. And we are putting ourselves in the same league as the Avengers, Justice League, Hollywood heroes. We deserve to be up there. Like far too often we've seen South Asians stereotyped or typecast into a roles like an arranged marriage or the guy in a corner shop. We don't want to be that. We deserve to be in lead iconic roles. Like we want to see the Avengers with South Asian representation. And that's what we want with the cinematic universe.
Yeah, I think Disha's definitely iconic. I mean, everything about her, from the way her style, the way she dresses, the way she uses guns, the way she disguises herself. She's so unique, and I think she's unique because we're developing her as a team together, and it's so authentic. And it's like we're working day in, day out to develop this story that we love and believe in, and it's wonderful. It's so wonderful working on this project. It's been challenging in that I'm someone that is very clear in the way I speak. I say it how it is, and sometimes that can be received as offensive to some people. But my intention is not to be offensive. My intention is to be clear and get the job done. So that's why the three of us, we have an understanding that this is about the mission and the purpose, and we're going to stay focused on that. And like I said, a lot of films are really ambitious, but they're not focused. They lose their focus somewhere. We're not trying to make, we're not trying to make 10 features. We're trying to make a few and tell a story, but remain absolutely focused on Disha and her mission.